Isolation of lactose from milk. Apparatus required: beaker, 125 ml Erlenmeyer flask, water bath, watch glass. Chemical required: calcium carbonate, 25 ml of hot 95% ethanol, 0.2 grams of decolorizing carbon, and ethanol. As such, we know that milk is oil in water emulsion containing its 3.9% fat dispersed as micron-sized globules. The fat emulsion is stabilized by complex phospholipids and proteins that are adsorbed on the surfaces of the globules. Because of the fat in milk is so finely dispersed, it is digested more easily than fat from any other source. All fat can be removed from milk by extraction with petroleum ether or a similar organic solvent we can take. Now, when the fats and proteins have been removed from milk, the carbohydrates remain in the whey as they are soluble in aqueous solution. The main carbohydrate in milk is lactose, and we are going to isolate this lactose from milk. Now, lactose is the only carbohydrate that mammals synthesize. It is a disaccharide consisting of one molecule of D-glucose and one molecule of D-galactose joined in 1,4 fashion and is synthesized in the mammary glands. In this process, one molecule of glucose is converted to galactose and joined to another glucose. So, we can say there is one glucose and one galactose molecule combined, and it is a disaccharide molecule, the lactose. Galactose is thought to be needed by developing infants to build brain and nervous tissue. It is more stable to metabolic oxidation with glucose and affords a better material for forming structural units in cells. The digestion of lactose involves the enzyme lactase, which hydrolyzes the disaccharide into its two component sugars, and we know the component sugars, one is glucose and the other is the galactose. This is the structure of the galactose and glucose combined to form the lactose structure. Now, once the casein is removed, as we have already done in the first experiment, lactose can be isolated as the alpha enomer by addition of ethanol and crystallization from the resulting water ethanol mixture at room temperature. Now, the procedure: gently boil the original liquid to which the calcium carbonate was added after the isolation of casein. Bumping will not be a problem so long as you stir the solution constantly and vigorously with a glass rod. The solution will foam somewhat as it refluxes. This procedure precipitates the remaining proteins lactalbumin and lactoglobulin. Suction filter the hot mixture to remove the proteins and calcium carbonate and transfer the hot, slightly yellow filtrate to a 125 ml Erlenmeyer flask. Concentrate the filtrate to a volume of about 5 ml by heating with constant swirling, again being careful to avoid bumping. Foaming can be controlled by heating the liquid less vigorously and gently blowing onto it. To the hot concentrated solution, add 25 ml of hot 95% ethanol and 0.2 gram of decolorizing carbon. Put this mixture aside and prepare a slurry of about 1 gram of saline and 7.5 ml of 95% ethanol. Suction filter the slurry into a Hirsch funnel containing a correct size filter paper to obtain a filter pad of saline and discard the alcohol in the filter flask. Now, to the slightly cooled ethanol mixture containing the lactose, add 1 ml of water, suction filter the mixture through the saline filter pad and making sure the filtrate is clear. If the filtrate is cloudy, heat it up and add another 0.5 ml of water. Transfer the filtrate to a 125 ml Erlenmeyer flask. Heat it until it clears, then allow to cool slowly. Stopper the flask and allow it to stand. Collect the crystals of lactose by suction filtration and wash the product with a small amount of cold 95% ethanol. Thoroughly dry the lactose, determine its weight and the melting point. determine the percentage yield of lactose from the powdered milk, and we can show our calculations. So the percentage yield can be calculated by the dry powdered milk. And the chemical test which we perform for the carbohydrates. First test, Benedict's test. The procedure, we placed 15 drops of 1% carbohydrate solution in a test tube and add 1 ml of Benedict reagent and heat the tube in a boiling water bath for 5 minutes to remove the tube, and we know the result. Now Benedict test determines whether a monosaccharide or disaccharide is a reducing sugar and is hence similar in purpose to the tolerance test. To give a positive test, the carbohydrate must contain a hemiacetal, which will hydrolyze in aqueous solution to the aldehyde form. So Benedict reagent is an alkaline solution containing cupric ions which oxidize the aldehyde to a carboxylic acid. In turn, the cupric ions are reduced to cuprous oxide, which we can see here, which forms a red precipitate. This is the first experiment which we are performing for the test of lactose. Second is the Barfoed test. Again the same thing, we take 15 drops of the 1% carbohydrate solution in a test tube. We add the Barfoed reagent, then we heat it in the boiling water bath for 10 minutes and remove the tube, and then again we go to the result. The Barfoed test is similar to the Benedict test only, but it determines if a carbohydrate is a monosaccharide or a disaccharide. Barfoed reagent reacts with monosaccharides to produce cuprous oxide at a faster rate than disaccharides do. So this test can be performed with glucose, which is monosaccharide, and compare the rate. So what we can do is to know which is a monosaccharide and which one is the disaccharide. We take a glucose in a test tube and perform the test with the glucose in one test tube, and we compare the lactose test. So we'll come to know, because lactose itself is a disaccharide, its rate will be less. As such, we can say because glucose is a monosaccharide, and it will be giving the test faster. Hydrolysis test for glucose. Now we know that the lactose molecule is one molecule of glucose and one galactose molecule combined to give a disaccharide. So what we are going to do here is that we will separate the two. We will just separate the two molecules, and then we will perform the test confirming that the glucose is present in it. So again the same thing, the procedure, we start with the procedure. We will place 5 ml of the following 1% carbohydrate solution in a test tube. We will add 10 drops of concentrated HCl. Here hydrochloric acid is added to it and heating in a boiling water bath for 10 minutes. Cool the tube in an ice bath, carefully neutralize with 10% sodium hydroxide using litmus or pH paper. Then we will come to know that the solution is now neutral. Now the pH must be neutral or very slightly alkaline in order for the test tape to work. Now if necessary, make final pH adjustments with 0.1 m HCl or 0.1 m NaOH solutions. So what we actually do is, disaccharides and the polysaccharides, they get hydrolyzed in the acidic solutions into their component monosaccharide and then submitted to the chemical test like Benedict's test, etc. Right here, so what we are doing here is, in this experiment, these several disaccharides and a sample of starch will be hydrolyzed and tested for the presence of glucose. The glucose test will be carried out using a commercially available product called test tape, available at most drugstores. The tape contains the enzymes glucose oxidase and peroxidase as well as orthotolidine. The glucose oxidase oxidizes glucose to gluconic acid and hydrogen peroxide. Once formed, the hydrogen peroxide reacts with peroxidase to produce oxygen, which oxidizes the orthotolidine to give green colored products. As we can see here, this glucose oxidase is converting glucose to gluconic acid and hydrogen peroxide is given out. This hydrogen peroxide, in the presence of peroxidase, divides into a water molecule and the oxygen is liberated. This oxygen reacts with orthotolidine and we get a colored product here. And the presence and the appearance of that colored product is actually the conformation of glucose molecule. So this is how we can test for glucose, for even a disaccharide, and we can confirm that the crystals which we get here is lactose, and this way how we can isolate lactose and we can get the results. Thank you.